Welcome to the Daily Boogie.
When I like the media, you know, I take in all comers. I'm not a source Nazi. You know, I will read stuff I disagree with more than stuff I agree with, because I don't need my own opinion shoved down my throat. You know, I want to see what you guys are thinking, you know. So I thought I'd flick over to CNN, because they are the bastion of hard-hitting news, real news, not fake news. And, you know, in the midst of all of these issues around, I mean, DACA, you've got memos, you've got the Russia investigation. Let's see what the real issues are from the real news people say.
Tonight there are new questions about which authorities, if any, could end up looking into a Trump attorney's reported payment of $130,000 to a porn star, allegedly to ensure her silence about a decade-old affair with the president. Let's bring in CNN's Brian Todd. Brian, what are you hearing?
Let's bring in Brian.
There's been more pressure placed on President Trump and his attorney in recent days to
Let's see what Brian thinks about the porn star story.
defend that alleged payment to Stormy Daniels. Tonight, a question is being posed in legal circles. Could the Russia investigation led by special counsel Robert Mueller expand to include the Daniels case?
Yeah, I know, Simon. I know. I'm being very diplomatic, Simon. You're only new here. You'll figure it out. Dr. Gonzo, Sam says she's not the porn star I would have chosen. I mean, yeah. If you're a billionaire, you can have any of them, right? You can have like a whole stable. That's just like, could the Mueller probe? Let's not mention probes. Let's not talk about probes when we're talking about porn stars. But could the Mueller probe expand? Sorry, let's not talk about things expanding. Could the Mueller probe expand to include payment to Stormy Daniels? It's like, well, unless she's part of the Russian government, no. Special Counsel Robert Mueller, he's charged with the important task of investigating potential Russian collusion in the 2016 presidential election and porn. It's just like, fuck me dead, man. The news. Oh, we have to show a bit of her work.
One high-profile appearance at a strip club, and we're told the porn star Stormy Daniels is booked for several more.
Wow.
But after reports of a six-figure payment she allegedly got to keep silent about an alleged sexual relationship with Donald Trump, serious questions are being raised tonight about whether the reported payment could be investigated by the special counsel.
The thing about
this is going to be good.
Investigations by special counsels is that they always find things that are surprising to everyone, including themselves.
Okay, see the way they do this? Look, people are asking, could the Mueller probe expand to investigate, you know, this thing with the porn star?
Investigated by the special counsel.
The thing about investigations by special counsels is that they always find things that are surprising to everyone, including themselves.
To be fair, that's really like a pretty open-ended statement that wasn't specific to the question at all. They find that, no, we were asking about looking. See, because an investigation is looking for something. Finding things. Oh, we're surprised by what we found. But yes, but first you must look. First you have to look, okay? Is it right for Robert Mueller to look into this matter with the porn star? Well, you know, when you're a special counsel, you're always surprised by what you find. No. So you're doing it reverse. You're doing backward speak.
The left-leaning watchdog group Common Cause is calling for the Federal Election Commission and the Justice Department to investigate whether the $130,000 Daniels reportedly got from Trump lawyer Michael Cohen was an illegal campaign contribution. Daniels and Cohen have denied the affair. Daniels denies getting hush money. But could special counsel Robert Mueller expand his probe into possible Trump campaign collusion with Russia to include the alleged Daniels payment?
If he starts to find monetary transactions in October 2016.
If she was a Russian porn star, she'd probably get paid a lot less than 130 grand, to be fair. I mean, apparently you can hire Russian porn stars for a pittance of that to, you know, embark on a yellow excursion in a hotel room in Moscow, for example. Wouldn't cost you 130K, that's for damn sure. I mean, let's be honest. If the dossier story is true, then then Donald Trump really is like a true capitalist. He's a true businessman. And, you know, why would he pay off 130 grand to some American gold digger when he can get the, an equally good thing in Russia for, a fraction of the price? Doesn't make sense.
Involving some of the same circle of people.
Yes. Could that theoretically be a reason? Yes, it could. He could go and he could say, look, this is part of a pattern. This is the way they do things. And
this is part of a pattern. When
they engage in suspicious activities. And so because it's part of a pattern, I think it...
What's suspicious about having sex with a porn star? I mean, everybody can see you.
has bearing on my investigations.
Saul Weisenberg was part of Ken Starr's Whitewater Independent Counsel team that expanded.
Sam said, I'd rather have 2 Asians and 1 blonde chick. That's incredibly racist, Sam. That's incredibly racist. I suppose you want them making rice, don't you? I suppose you'd pay them both half as much, wouldn't you, you evil racist person? Citizenship now. Equal rights now.
The probe of Bill and Hillary Clinton's connections to a land deal into an investigation of the Monica Lewinsky affair. What about Mueller's mandate and the Daniels case?
His charter covers a specific topic of Russian collusion and anything that directly arises from his investigation. This didn't arise from his investigation.
Mueller's team told CNN it would not comment on the prospect of expanding its investigation to include the alleged payment to Stormy Daniels. Skeptics of the idea of Daniels becoming a legal problem for...
Look at Trump's phone face. I love Trump's phone face. It's almost like he's looking down his nose at the person on the other end of the phone. It's like, this is incredibly stupid. I don't even know why I'm having this conversation. Love it.
President Trump point to the previous case of former Senator John Edwards, prosecuted in 2012 for a similar claim of hush money.
Yes, of course. Remember John Edwards? Johnny Boy? Johnny Boy, I forgot about that.
2 Edwards campaign donors supplied almost $1 million for expenses for Edwards' mistress, Rielle Hunter, and a baby. Prosecutors charged Edwards with accepting illegal campaign contributions, but the hung jury did not convict him.
Simon says, it's funny how Republicans forget everything that Bush did. You know, again, at risk of repeating myself, I would say to you, like, a lot of the people that support Donald Trump don't like George W. Bush. Do you see what I'm getting at here? Like, it's kind of like a false dichotomy. Yeah. And another thing people will say is, stop talking about Barack Obama. That's in the past. There's past and then there's past. So, like a lot of people that support Donald Trump don't really particularly like George W. Bush. They didn't vote for Jeb, that's for sure, right?
The jury in the Edwards case basically said these transactions and payments were personal. The motivation, in large part, was to hide things from Mrs. Edwards, the senator's wife. It had nothing to do with the campaign, and we don't think that Senator Edwards committed a crime.
Legal experts say if there's any federal investigation into the reported payment of Stormy Daniels, tracking the source of that money will be crucial. We have pressed Trump's attorney Michael Cohen repeatedly about where that money came from. He has not answered the question.
See, we have pressed Trump's attorney where the money that went to Stormy Daniels came from. We haven't proven that the money actually, there was money and it went to Stormy Daniels, but we are telling you that tracking it is the main is the main thing. We asked the lawyer and he refused to comment. Oh, he's hiding something. He's hiding. He doesn't want to admit where the money came from. Mr. Cohen, where did the money come from that paid off Stormy Daniels to keep quiet about Donald Trump? What? Look, no comment. See? He's admitting it. At least they didn't probe him. Says Windsor Live. Bye, Platinum Mimi. Thanks for joining us. If you're leaving, she said bye.
Question on the prospect of the reported payment to Daniels being investigated by Robert Mueller or any federal entity.
See, this is another issue here I've got with all this stuff. He just said the reported payment, okay? Let me riff with you for a second. There is a kind of, I know you, what do you guys call it? The telephone game? We call it Chinese whispers. So, you know, someone and you have to whisper in the next person's ear as quietly as possible. And then it goes around the room, and when it gets to the end, you stand up and it's a completely different sentence. Right? There's kind of that game that goes on with the media, but everybody remembers the first thing that was said. So this is generally the way it goes. As someone who's tracked the downfall of Western journalism for over a decade, you know, trust me. Don't trust me. Look it up yourself. But here's the thing. So something will get reported in a newspaper, like say, okay, the Washington Post. And, you know, it might be unnamed sources. It might be, you know, innuendo. It will be cleverly written to hide the fact that there is no actual, you know, clear-cut statement. And all writers do it. You know, someone was saying before about, oh, if Hillary won, the Republicans have been doing the same thing. I don't deny that. I don't deny that at all. This is what happens. This is the game. I find the whataboutism is kind of stupid because, you know, this is the deal. This is what everyone has to deal with. So just learn what they do, and then you stop seeing it so much in left and right. Right? That's the point. So in this context, the Washington Post puts out a story, and it's an unnamed source. It's a big breaking story. Then CNN picks it up in the morning, and they spend 2 hours talking about the story that was in the Washington Post. And then the New York Times writes an article about what CNN was talking about, what was written about in the Washington Post. Do you see where I'm going with this? And then ABC will talk about the article that was written in the New York Times that was talked about in CNN that was written in the Washington Post. And then the Washington Post will write about the article that was written about in ABC, and they'll cite them. Hey, it's even being reported in ABC. That was spoken about on MSNBC, that was written about in the New York Times, that was spoken about on CNN, which was written about in the New York Post. So, I mean, if we want to talk about collusion, like, let's get real. That's the way it works. You'll be very disappointed to know that when you get right back to the start of it, it all started from maybe one paragraph in one article. And because, you know, all of these people are, you know, they're interconnected. They drink together. They're colleagues. It's on House of Cards then. Windsor Live says AP and Thomson Reuters are running the entire narrative, yeah? Like you know what I mean, though? Like, whoever starts it, that's the way it starts. And it spreads like a brush fire. You know, all the little outlets catch fire. And then you know what you can do? If that particular story aids you in a political sense, then what you do is you get up in front of the cameras and say, look, it was spoken about in the Times, in the Washington Post, in CNN, on MSNBC. Everybody agrees. We're all on the same page. It's obviously true because everybody's talking about it. And then the same media outlets will talk about how the politician said that it's obviously true because everybody's talking about it. Next thing you know, you've got people coming up to you saying, hey, what about this news? It's obviously true. And if you dare suggest, well, it kind of came from one story with unnamed sources, like, let's not lose our heads here. They go, oh, what, are you going to deny? Are you denying? Are you denying that it's true? You're a bigot. You know what? If Hillary won, the Republicans would be doing the same thing. How can you not see what a hypocrite you are? That's how you ruin Thanksgiving, by the way. Just thought I'd let you know. That's how Thanksgivings get ruined.